Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on the Ask Canada Immigration Lawyer podcast. I have the pleasure today of hosting and welcoming Alay Yajnik, and he is here today. He's the host of Lawyer Business Advantage and Law Firm Success Growth. He does a lot of things. He's a law firm success growth expert, and he even has a book called Staffing Up that I've started reading. I'm looking forward to finishing it. I want to give you a little bit of bio about Alay because he's got such an interesting background. He teaches law firm owners like me across the US and probably Canada soon to grow their law firms. And he uses proven law firm systems to help them grow. So he's the person you call when you want to grow so that you don't have to work evenings and weekends and you want to have a quality of life and maximize the growth potential of your law firm. Law Firm Success Group teaches 1 to 2 partner and solo firms like myself how to make more money, take more time off, and have more fun by empowering and implementing proven law firm growth systems. He is an award-winning business coach, author, and speaker. As I mentioned, his book, Staffing Up, The Attorney's Guide to Hiring Top Talent, is available on Amazon. And he has that fabulous podcast that I've been very lucky to be on. Alay, welcome to my podcast.
Evelyn, great to see you. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was really kind of you.
Well, I mean, it's really impressive. As I said, I'm reading the book, and we met through our connection through Provisors, which is a professional networking group. And then I was on your show, and I was just so curious because turning yourself into this kind of expert is not easy. Even lawyers, as we know, we go to law school, we don't learn anything about running a business. So how did you come into this area, this line of coaching and business?
That's a great question. I had a little bit of an advantage over most attorneys in that I'm not an attorney.
Yes.
I actually spent 17 years in Silicon Valley, running, in corporations, running business units, and in marketing and client service, and then also teaching. I did a lot of training and stuff for clients, and so it was kind of a departure. I tried corporate, didn't really enjoy that. Tried the venture capital world, and that didn't really sit well with me. So I'm not like a lawyer. I'm not good at very many things. I'm just good at building businesses and developing people. So decided to start doing that and wound up working with a lot of attorneys and really, believe it or not, really enjoy working with attorneys. Um, you all do such amazing life-changing work for all of your clients, as you know.
Mhm.
Um, it really is an honor to serve them and to bring a skill set that they don't naturally have, as you said.
Yeah, well, it's so great that you're doing this. And I feel like more lawyers are recognizing, like me, that we need help and we need supports, especially if you're a solo or a small firm with 1 or 2 partners, you don't have a lot of people to bounce ideas off of and try different things and get the guidance from. So I feel like more lawyers are looking outside of themselves because we know what we don't know. And so I think it's great that you're providing this level of support and expertise. I love your podcast. I've been devouring it, listening to it, and trying to catch up
Thanks.
since I knew about it. And I highly recommend it to all lawyers and anybody who's a business owner. Give me a sense right now of what are the main issues that are keeping your clients, your lawyer clients up at night?
Yeah, it's really been the similar kinds of issues since when we started working with them. So as you mentioned, it's 2 partners or less,
Yeah.
law firm, so solos, single partner firm, 2 partners. And they have a relatively common set of issues. The first issue they typically have is they don't have enough income.
Hmm.
And oftentimes there's a lot of reasons for that, right? It's like if you go to your doctor and you said my arm hurts, well, there's a bazillion different reasons why that could be. So they don't have the income that they want. The second thing is, they in some sense have a wealth of riches. They have so much work
Yeah.
that they are not able to take time off. They are working weekends, they are working nights, they are exhausted. And sometimes it might be because they haven't hired anybody. Other times it might be because they have a team, but the team isn't pulling their weight. And so the owner is looking at this going, oh my gosh, I have all of these people. Why am I not making any money? And why don't I have any time?
Hmm.
Um, and part of that is having good systems in place. And oftentimes they realize that's a need. The goal at Law Firm Success Group is we're always trying to work with our clients to help them build their perfect practice.
Yes.
And it's different for every attorney,
Yeah.
different income, sometimes different types of clients. They want different amounts of time off. And as long as the attorney is having that amazing practice, fantastic. But if they're not, we can help them potentially, if they're a good fit for us, get them there faster and easier than they could on their own.
I think that is so incredible. And you said it because we all want different things in our law firms. And I think when I started my firm 14 years ago, I left big law and I was just gonna keep doing what I was doing. And over time, when you have family and life changes, you realize that maybe for you, flexibility is more important than money or how you practice. I mean, since COVID, have you seen a real change in your clients' businesses because of the remote ability? Like for myself, half our team is remote and half are in the office, and it's really changed how we practice law.
Yeah, COVID has completely changed how attorneys practice law, or it could.
Hmm.
And it's also changed a lot of really the demand for legal services. Before COVID, I was working with a lot of clients who didn't have enough clients of their own. And so they were hiring me to help them grow their law firm by adding more clients. When COVID hit, the demand for legal services went through the roof.
Yeah.
And it very quickly changed from, I don't have enough clients to, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. I have too much work. And, just like fitting like a glove, the whole idea of working remotely, having an outsourced workforce, having an offshore
Yeah.
workforce, all of that came to bear. And so it's now easier than ever, in my opinion, for an attorney or two attorneys to really build a fantastic law firm by using all sorts of resources that are available: contract attorneys,
Mhm.
employees, part-time employees, remote, on-site, offshore,
Oh my
software
God.
tools. I mean, it's been an amazing 5 years. It really
It
has.
has been. I mean, I think I use more technology now than I ever used before. So it just shows you, like, if you really are an adapter and you recognize you want to try and learn different things, the technology is there, but you still need the people. So let's talk about the people because, Ale, that is the most challenging thing I think I hear from all of my colleagues in law is the staffing, is the people, is finding that right fit, those right team members. What are you finding right now in terms of your business around the hiring? Because I know we're looking and have been looking. It's hard to find that mid-level ideal person that can hopefully replace the owner so the owner can focus on business, right?
Yeah, that either senior associate or junior partner with the 10 years of experience who can just kind of come in and be a long-term succession plan. Yes, all sorts of, yeah,
The
everyone
unicorn.
wants that. The unicorn. And they want the 5-year associate too.
Yeah.
That to come in and really take a lot of work off their plate. The hiring market continues to be competitive. The last 5 years or so around COVID through to today have been the toughest hiring markets I've ever seen in my 30 years of business. I mean,
Yeah.
across all industries, it is brutal.
Mhm.
And having a set of best practices, like best practices industry-wide, can really help. So one of the things that I strongly recommend is that every attorney, whether you're looking for someone or not, you already have an idea of the positions you want to fill long term, and you kind of have it in your mind because you know other attorneys that are out there. And some of them you think, my gosh, I would love to work with that person someday, either as a partner or as an employee. I'd love to have them on my team in some way, shape, or form. And you stay in touch with them and you talk with them and you build that relationship over time. And then when you do have a need, they're the first people you go to and you say, look, I've got this position that I'm looking to hire for. Um, Someone like you would be a fantastic fit. Who do you know in your network that would really be interested in this kind of a position?
Mhm.
Oftentimes they'll say, well, I might be interested. Or they might refer you to someone who's outstanding. But having that bench ready to go is really, really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's really smart because usually for us lawyers, you wait till the last minute and then you need somebody and you're like in a panic. And sometimes you make bad hiring decisions. We've all made them and we learned from them. But I think what you're suggesting, Ale, is that slow, thoughtful process of working that network as opposed to hiring in a panic. It does take more time, but I think it's the right way of recruiting for sure because we're finding that obviously if you don't find good people, you can't get your work done. So you
Right.
need to have that for sure.
Right.
Tell me what else you feel like that you, besides like the systems, the focus on growth, or I'm assuming that would be financial as well as profitability. Are you in the weeds in terms of your clients' financials, books and records, and helping them? Because we're also not taught math if we go to law school. And so those are challenges. We all need a team of bookkeepers, accountants, but even like CFO type. Do you provide that level of looking and at least criticism or support on that level?
Yeah, it's really a question of looking at the financial statements and trying to understand what are the strengths and weaknesses of the law firm. And that doesn't require a degree in accounting.
Mhm.
I happen to be an engineer and I happen to have an MBA, so I'm comfortable with financial statements, but
Mhm.
you don't need to be an accountant to be able to read them. The financial statements tell a story. And
Yeah.
so what we teach our clients to do, if this is a situation that they want to get into, is how you can take those financial statements and understand the story of your firm based on that. Quick example of how that helps us. One of the key reports, and I encourage every attorney to look at this regularly, is your accounts receivable aging report. That
Mhm.
is a report of people who owe you money. And when that starts to tick up over 50,000, over 100,000, that is money that you are owed. You just have to go get. And oftentimes it's having some uncomfortable conversations, calling up the client, you, not your assistant, but you, calling up the client and say, hey, we have this invoice. I was wondering, when we might be able to expect payment. I know it's uncomfortable, but you'll feel a lot better about it when you're pulling in, that $100,000 that's owed to you. And the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to get that money. So that's one example of how we use those financial statements. And there's a few other ways that we look into it too.
That's really great. It's really important. I mean, it's basically our, as lawyers, what we do and what we give out and what we produce is our work product, and that is what pays the bills. And so we need to get that compensation for that. Most immigration law firms flat fee. So we flat fee, which also helps a little bit. And when I left Big Law, that was my big thing, was I just hated the hourly model when we knew essentially we were still flat feeing, but we still had to fit into that larger firm model. When you see people who are refugees from Big Law, we'll call them, how do you help them set up? Because it's a very different mindset going from a global or national law firm to you're just done and you're going to do it on your own. Have you helped people with that transition before?
Yeah, we do that pretty often. We help attorneys who are leaving, typically a law firm, usually a big law firm,
Mhm.
set up their own firm. And the first thing is they're both excited and a little terrified, and for good reason. I remember when I left corporate to start my business coaching practice, I was excited and terrified at the same time. Um, and the second thing we want to really help them do is figure out what kind of firm it is they want to build. And some of that involves pricing. Do you want to do hourly? Do you want to do flat fee? Do you want to do contingency? Do you want to do hybrid models? How often, how much do you actually want to work? How much do you want to make? What
Mhm.
kind of clients do you want to serve? It really gives us a lot of opportunity to set up the firm properly from day one. So they're not having to redo that work later on. They can get off to a really fast start. The one group that we don't typically work with are clients who are out of law school, like fresh out of law school, because they need to learn how to be a good attorney first.
Yeah, that's true. I think I really think it's important, when young lawyers come to me, or I've had lawyers that I've trained and worked with over the years, it's important to learn your art, learn your craft, learn your practice before you can just go out. And that's my view. I know in the States, people can just write the bar and go out there. In Canada, you have to article for at least 12 months. So you get at least some training, but even then, I don't think you know anything about the business side, the taxes, the employee stuff. In terms of employee retention, LA, how have you supported your clients to kind of focus on that, especially in a market like this?
Sure.
How are you? I mean, we all do different things to encourage retention, but I'm interested to hear maybe how you want your clients to keep their employees and in ways that will, grow the business, obviously, as opposed to having constant turnover.
That's a great question, Evelyn, because so often attorneys do a good job of hiring and they bring in these people only to have them leave. And it's super frustrating. A couple of things that are going on there. The first is the best way to retain employees is to select the right ones from the get-go. And oftentimes I find that the employee that was brought in is just not a good fit. And to your point about hiring in a panic, that that happens, and they're just not a good long-term fit. They don't align with the firm's culture. They don't align with the firm's values. They don't have a great relationship with their supervising attorney. And they may be a terrific attorney, but it's just not a really good fit. So the first thing is to hire the right employees the first time. The second thing is to then, you know, continue to invest in those employees. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. One of the things that we do, and this is true about all the business stuff that we teach, there are so many different tools and ways to achieve things like growing revenue, retaining employees, freeing up time. Where we really shine is we're able to connect the right attorney with the right tool
Okay.
right away. So they don't have to sit here, reinvent the wheel, figure out what works for them, ask a bunch of their colleagues. No, we pair them up with the right thing. They get going, they get the return right away. So it might be something as
Like
simple
that.
as, when was the last time you had a weekly one-on-one with your employee? They're brand new to the firm and you don't meet with them regularly. Every single week until they get sick of it, you should be spending at least a half an hour with them. And I know that may sound like a lot of time, but employees are like plants. You got to water them and nurture them and have them really develop that root system. The other thing too, Evelyn, is just to be realistic. Employees sometimes leave a firm and there is nothing you can do about it because they leave for their own reasons. They
Hmm.
have things going on in their personal life. They may have to relocate. They may have to take care of parents or
Yeah.
kids or spouses or whatever the situation might be. They might leave for reasons that are completely out of your control.
Mhm.
That's why it's good to always have that bench of people that you kind of have your eye on, thinking about, something happens, maybe they can come over.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, it's true. Sometimes they say that employees leave their managers, which I think is very true. But also, I think you're right, that life happens, right? And so it's not always personal. And it can definitely be about life changes and needing different things. Um, so one thing I noticed as a law firm owner is that more of us are looking externally for support. And are you seeing that? I mean, I'm assuming your business is growing because everybody I know has a business coach or is looking for a business coach or needs, recognizes they're lacking because we're not taught to be necessarily leaders of firms or accountants or bookkeepers or, marketers, and we're having to learn all these things. What do you see in the future in terms of the development of this side of your business? Because the more and more lawyers are out there, do you see more people looking for your kind of expertise?
I hope so, and I do. When
Yeah,
I first started, it was really talking to a lot of people about what business coaching is.
yeah.
Now I'm having more conversations with them about, who's the right business coach, what's the right kind of business coaching
Mhm.
that they really want to go after. And I think that's terrific because look, I have three coaches, four if you include my wife. And look, I just think it's a
I
smart
love
way to go. If
that.
you want to get a result, talk to someone that can help you get there and
Yeah,
pay them for their time. And
absolutely.
you'll get a much better result than trying to do it on your own. Myself, like a lot of attorneys, I don't have a lot of time. And
Yeah.
so I do what I do best, and then I get guidance for the rest of it.
That's great. I do the same as well. And, I feel like it's less lonely too when you're running a business because you can't have all these conversations with your team members, with your
Right.
staff. It's just, there's some things you just can't discuss. And so it's nice to have that. And, my husband is probably my first coach and, other people I've worked with over the years. Do you find that your clients move through a program or a process with you? Because I've worked with people where it's like 1 year or 5 years. And where do you find that normal period where you've taught them and given them as much as you can give them, and they're now at the place where they've always wanted to be? When does that transition occur usually?
Yeah, it occurs at different times for different clients. And one of the things we do, everything we do at Law Firm Success Group, it's all one-on-one. And it's all customized to the client. And
Mhm.
so we're able to move at their pace. So some of my clients have gotten exactly where they wanted to go in 3 months or 6 months, others about the 1 year mark, others several years, and they're still going after things because they're either setting new goals
Yeah.
or their goals were that big to begin with. One of the things we do is we try and make sure that even our programs are customized so that there's a lot of flexibility for our clients. But typically, the way it goes, like for us, when we start working with a client, we harvest a lot of low-hanging fruit right away. So
Okay.
that first 3 to 4 months, we're going to see, big returns, whether it's time savings or income increases. team development, whatever it happens to be, but we'll harvest a lot of the low-hanging fruit.
Mhm.
And then, the real work starts. And we've got to work for a few months before some of these initiatives really come to fruition. So around month 9, we typically see more benefits and more returns. And then that continues through the first year. And then after that, it really just depends on the individual.
That's so great. And so, LA, you're able to work with clients across the United States, like you have been already, right? Not just in
Yeah.
California. Okay.
In fact, we just picked up a couple months ago, we picked up our first client in Mexico and our first
Oh,
client in Canada.
oh, that's
Um,
not me. What the
it's
heck?
not no, it's not you.
That's great.
And actually now I have more clients outside of California than I actually have in California, which is kind of a
Great.
hoot.
Oh, I love that. So I'm interested, why did you choose lawyers? I mean, obviously we have lots of challenges, but was there a reason that you chose that industry versus, I mean, any other industries that you could have been doing business coaching with?
Boy, I wish I could tell you I had, this really good detailed strategic analysis and it just made
Yes.
sense for these reasons and I have all these graphs and stuff. But the truth of the matter is I just fell into it. I started working with small law firms, um, really enjoyed my time with them, got some good results for my clients, but I was working with every other kind of business you can think of. I did work for government labs to some, Silicon Valley companies that you'd recognize,
Mm.
to lots of small firms across industries. But at some point, half my clients were small law firms. And
Yeah.
so I was talking to my business coach, and she said, "Well, maybe you found your niche." And I said, "Yeah, maybe I have." So we decided to test it for 6 months.
Mhm.
And that was, over 8 years ago. And I just
Wow.
stuck with it.
That's so great. I mean, I think sometimes we fall into our niche. I mean, I was a corporate lawyer and now I do immigration law and, corporate immigration, but you never know where it's going to lead you. But I feel like you got to follow that. And I think it's great that you weren't like feeling like you had to be all things to all people. Like some people would say, I'm going to work with dental practices or doctors or this and that and coach everybody. But I feel like if you're able to get that niche, you're able to really target and do better work. So is that something that you advise your clients, your law firm clients on, is niching down, or are they all like do some of them just do general practices, which I think is hard for
If
sure.
they want to grow, niching is such a powerful strategy that it's hard for that not to be on my top three.
Mhm.
It certainly worked for me. I mean, there aren't a lot of business coaches that work with lawyers that have run $100 million business
Yeah.
and built a $5 million business from the ground up like myself.
Yeah.
And I have a diverse set of work experiences, which has really helped.
Mhm.
Plus, I now know law firms because I've worked with them for 9 years,
Yeah.
different sizes, all different practice areas in different parts of the country. And that all makes me a better coach for my clients.
Mhm.
Same thing, I think niching into a special area, even more specialized than whatever anyone else is in today, can really help. It helps in so many ways, but it's not always the right strategy. It is one that we recommend, Evelyn, all the time.
Yeah.
But depending on the attorney, it may not be the right way for them to go.
Yeah. And I think like sometimes even I sometimes think, okay, I've been doing this for 24 years. And I think, I love what I do on the corporate side and the personal side, but maybe we should add somebody with tax or an employment lawyer or, I'm always looking at how do we build out more supports for clients so they can get what they need, or a wills and estates specialist, whatever, not necessarily me. So that takes it out of that 1 to 2 partner or maybe lawyer. Why do you keep your practice so focused on that 1 to 2 partner and solo? What is the difference between that and, let's say, a firm that has 5 to 7 lawyers? I don't know if the partnership thing
Sure.
matters and all. Yeah.
Yeah, the partnership thing matters because we
Okay.
work with the partners, and the reason is how we deliver our services. So everything we do, Evelyn, is one-on-one.
Hmm.
So if I'm meeting with a two-partner law firm, it's going to be me and both the partners on the same Zoom call.
Hmm.
And if it's solo, it's just like this, right? It's just
Yeah.
one-on-one. That works really, really well. It works awesome. The moment you put a third partner in, so it's three partners and me, what ends up happening is they all have a meeting.
They had a meeting
And
before
I'm
you.
sitting there kind of going this, what are we going to get done today? And so the whole model just doesn't work as well.
Okay.
And so for that reason, we've really honed in our services. Plus, I think when you have three partners,
Yeah.
the financials are very different. And so to some extent, some of those challenges now, we talked about the 3 or 4 challenges. Some of those are going to change. There's going to be some other dynamics that are going on.
Sure.
You've got, now two partners makes a majority, which makes a big change in the dynamic. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of things that change, and it gets more challenging the more partners that get added to have that, that really intimate, personal, customized coaching approach.
Yeah, no, I think it's I mean, it makes sense to me because I've been in 2 partnerships and very large and boutique, and there's always the struggle. There's a reason I don't have a partner, and I think that you've hit it right on the nail. So what if it was a one partner with like associates? You're open to that size, right? Because the
Do it all the
associates,
time. Yeah.
okay. The associates,
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it was more like 1 or 2 lawyers or solo, but you're open to if they have the whole team, but just the 1 or 2 owners and that's it. Okay,
Right.
got
And
it.
then, we even have flexible services. So if the owner says, look, we're really trying to teach our associates business development,
Mhm.
we can bring in one of our coaches to actually work with the associates. But our starting point is always going to be the owners, and
The
that's where our
owners.
focus is.
Absolutely. Well, this has been so interesting, LA, and I feel like we need to go back. I need to have a chat with you again. As
Absolutely.
as my year unfolds, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm finishing that and I'm ready for something else. I really think the work you're doing is very valuable, very important. Your podcast is really, really well done. As somebody who listens to podcasts all day, as I walk, as I exercise, as I cook in the kitchen, my husband and I, we're very big podcasters, and yours is very well done. So I really encourage
Yeah.
everybody to listen to the Lawyer Business Advantage podcast that Alay hosts. And I love the music and I love it all. And then also look for you and your book. Where can they find you? I know we're going to share all the details when the podcast goes live, Alay, but can you just put it on camera and on the recording where people can find you to learn more about your services?
Sure. Easiest way is lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. That's it.
And so if they want to reach out and do an intro meeting, they just schedule some time with you, get on your calendar, and it's a back and forth determination of if this is a good fit.
Yep, exactly. The process is super simple. They just schedule, like you said, through Calendly. It's a half an hour call, and it's just to see if we're a fit. If
Mhm.
we are, then there's a little bit of homework and a
Yep,
longer conversation to really dig into the coaching program, and then they can get started.
that's
Um,
great.
for us, fit is super important. Not everyone's going to be a great fit, but we have a deep referral network. So if someone's not a good fit for us, we have a lot of fantastic coaching programs that we can refer them to.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time, LA. It's been wonderful having you on the Ask Canada Immigration podcast. Thank you so much for being a great guest.
Evelyn, thank you so much. It's been awesome.